What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Melanin Money Show. It's a little bit bittersweet because, you'll probably see on some future episodes that we all got a chance to connect in person in Atlanta. It's nothing like that in-person energy. Shout out to Atlanta. Shout out to the crew, man. I had a great time. But nonetheless, we still going to bring the same energy virtually because that's what we came to do. So Carter, Jacqueline, how y'all feeling, man?
Hey, it's nothing like that hot Atlanta energy. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I ain't gonna hold you. I've always been against moving to Atlanta, but after this visit, I'm like, you know what? Like, there's a world where I can actually live out here, right? It's so much Black abundance out there, man. And it was so good connecting with y'all, getting to do some in-person interviews. And I can't wait till we scale that in-person interview. That was lit. We might just have to go to Atlanta once a month and just do like a 2-day stint and just have guests come in, right?
Yeah. You see why Jacqueline's so excited, because she's the one that actually lives in Atlanta, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, it's a tax deductible expense, so it don't take much to get your
tax-free living. But no, it was a really good time. So you guys will benefit from getting a chance to see those episodes and talking about scaling the in-person. That means we got to get more cameras though, because if we're gonna come in person, we got to have a show. You know what I'm saying? It was a reason why we called it from day one on August 1st when we dropped it. It was never the Melanin Money podcast. It was always the Melanin Money Show, because we knew it was always more than a podcast. But anyway, guys, let's hop into today's episode. But before we do, let's address some housekeeping things, some things that are happening, because obviously, as Melanin Millionaires, we want to keep you guys posted on the latest and greatest in terms of what's happening in the world. So one thing that was interesting to happen recently is that Elon Musk made a bid to buy Twitter. He believes that it can be a much better free speech platform, and he believes that he's the guy that can do it. What do y'all think about that?
I believe, man, it could be a good move. He's trying to take him private, which is, obviously going to have his own ups and downs, but like, he's just a relentless business owner. Like, when we talk about no fear, it's like no fear. Like, he will gladly spend, was it $40 billion?
43, yeah.
On just a whim, right? So, and like, we scared to invest $1,000 in our businesses.
Right.
And that's just my thought. He's just a fearless leader. It always seems to work out for him.
Yeah.
I like the fearlessness, because I feel that there's still a lot of opportunity with Twitter. Like, there's still a lot of opportunity for Twitter as a business to grow and really be profitable. And so I also like the fact that Elon clearly knows how money works. So yeah, he offered 43 billion, but that doesn't mean this man's about to come out of pocket 43 B's. Like, come on, y'all. We're going to talk about it today. But no, I mean, I like the thought process. I think it's funny considering Elon Musk is a homeless guy right now, but
priorities, man, priorities.
And I believe him, because y'all remember, like, when he got y'all don't realize, like, he was, I think they call it PayPal Mafia. The guys who, started PayPal, he got a huge payout from PayPal when they went public. Right? Say it again.
Did he get his piece for 150 million?
I think a little more than that. Might have been closer to 2 something. But anyways, he cashed out. He took all the money and put it into SpaceX, Tesla, and then his other business. And he said literally he had to borrow money like to buy food.
That's so crazy to think about. Like, I mean, I'm here for it, but like his attitude and his confidence in what he's about to do, I wish I was that type of business owner, or can be that type of business owner, where I'm so locked in on the vision, I don't care about day-to-day expenses. You know what I'm saying? Right.
It's like you can see so clearly, like, to him, like, where he's going. And so it's like, well, I just got to catch up, and me spending this money or not spending this money is slowing me down from getting there. So I gotta let it rip.
But also think about it. If you are who you say you are, or who you think you are, and your people are around you and they don't believe it too, like that they could spare you some food, come on now. Like, you might need to find new friends.
But it's just so extreme though. It's like
he ain't buy a car, he ain't buy a house, he ain't do that. He say, all this money.
I think I was this extreme at one point that I think the more I think back on it, I think it was the downfall of one of my relationships, because it was like years ago, right? And like, I used to manage my money to the T. So this guy asked me, I'm in a relationship with him. He's like, yo, can I get like $100 or $200? And I was like, yeah, fam, I ain't got it. Like, and he's like, what? Like, you're a financial advisor. Like, I know where you work. I know what you drop. What are you doing? And I'm like, yo, the way I have my money, man, is like, I didn't have $100 or $200. Like, it was just an Elon Musk thing of like, yo, I had literally to the penny of what I needed. And it was like that drastic. So I can't even be mad at the guy.
Yeah, everybody has their thing, man. So shout out to Elon. I mean, I don't think Twitter's going to go for it, honestly, but shout out to Elon for having that audacity. Another news you could use is Netflix stocks plunge 31% on shocking subscriber loss. Now, I told you so, right? If you search the hashtag GA predictions, right? I told you guys back in January, and I told you guys even all the way back in 2019, how this was going to play out. People thought I was crazy, especially in the pandemic when streaming was at all-time high. I stood by my thesis and doubled down on it and validated it. And
what was the reasoning?
Yeah, so you looked at the expansion in the subscriber space. You saw that what Amazon was doing. You saw Hulu. You saw Disney was making a really big play. HBO. I saw it, right? And then Apple, right? I still stand by this, and it's going to take longer to play out. But remember, I said on this podcast, right? But anyways, I basically broke down why Netflix doesn't stand a chance. Reason being is they were first to market, but they have a singular revenue stream. Disney and Amazon have historically been known for being able to offer something for free or depressing the price of it because they have all this other revenue to offset the losses on that revenue stream, right? Just to gain market share. Netflix can't do that. It's their only revenue stream, right? And so I said, hey, Netflix, like I actually called them. I just threw it out there. I was like, Netflix, if I were you, this is in 2019. I said, if I were you, I would create something called Netflix experiences, right? Because one of the issues that you guys have is the sharing of passwords and usernames, right? So imagine if these Netflix original series that have cult-like followings come out and you guys have like pop-up like movie drive-ins and all this stuff, but the only way to get access is you have to have a verifiable membership, right? Now you're gonna have people getting membership just to gain access to the experiences. And I gave them a whole bunch of sauce and a bunch of other stuff, but obviously they didn't take me up on it. I'm still here at Netflix if you need me as a consultant, but right now your stock is down 31%. Literally, what is that, 95 billion loss in market share overnight.
Yeah, sucks for them. Yeah. But also, I did notice that they do have a lot of their own content these days.
Yes, they do.
So when you go through, like, I'm like, oh, okay, well, they got rid of like everybody else's content they were paying for.
Right.
Now they have a lot of their own native content. So it's been interesting to watch. Yeah, I heard the news, which I know a lot of people are hurting right now.
Yeah, and aren't they the most expensive subscription now? Now that like they hit Steven another notification, 17, 18 bucks. I'm like, yo, if I knew my password, I cancel. I haven't had my password in 2 years, so like I'm kind of stuck. But if I have my password, yo,
yeah, that's funny. But hey, you know, we always tell y'all, that's why you have Financial Flicks. Why we were forward thinking. We knew Netflix was going down, and we had to come in and save the day. So if you want to tap into education instead of entertainment, head over to Financial Flicks and you can get all the game you need. All right. So with that being said,
you know what's crazy though? Mm-hmm. So even with that being at like its highest point, right? And Netflix stock taking a dip, for the first time in 3 decades, US household cash actually exceeds debt right now.
That's impressive.
Right. So that's more of that's not saying that the equity in like household cash, that what they mean by that? Or is more than debt? Okay, that means the housing market is doing well, and I own a few properties. I need to do an appraisal, do a cash out refinance, and
talk about that. You know what I'm saying? A little precursor.
Yeah.
This means Americans are sitting on a ton of cash right now compared to the debt loads that we would normally carry. So it makes a lot of sense to me because a lot of consumers are really on edge right now. Like, we're not sure what's going to happen next. We've got inflation, we got feds trying to raise rates. You know, we've got the housing market still going hot. So I'm sure a lot of people are sitting on cash just out of pure nervousness. I mean, we've got the stock market, you know, been up and down, down, up and down. So it makes sense to me that a lot of people are sitting on cash. So comment below, let us know, especially if you're on YouTube, comment below, let us know how you're feeling about your cash right now.
Right. Because speaking of cash, right, while cash is a great thing to have, we all like cash, you know, cash is trash, right? Unpopular opinion. Cash is trash, but there's context, right? Reason, what'd you say?
I said, dang, because people will be commenting below talking about their cash and how much money they have saved. And you'll be like, that's trash.
They're gonna be like, delete.
Delete all that But here's what we mean, right? So today's episode, we're going to talk about 3 ways to use your money that's better than leaving it in the bank account, right? We're going to give you a little bonus extra gem on what you can do. This is an advanced strategy, right? So it's not that cash itself is trash. It's that at the end of the day, there's only one purpose of money. It's a medium of exchange for value, because instead of us trading, we used to trade, barter cattle. And if you had this and I want that, money just simply makes it easier. Say, if I want that, and we're saying this is a certain value amount that equals this, you'll accept my money in order to exchange that, right? That's money's only purpose. So when money just sits idly in your account, then really it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's not being used as a medium of exchange for value. And so we want to help you guys leverage your money to do more, especially considering that inflation is where it is, right? Mm-hmm. It's literally like your bank account has a hole in it and it's just slowly leaking out 8% of it every single year, right? So we want to make sure that you guys know exactly what you can do with your money to make it work for you. Now, before we get into it, I just saw a notification from CMB. Oh, Dow jumps 250 points because it is 4:00. Market's closed. So that's good. I'll check my portfolio after this podcast. But anywho, so guys, let's get into it. I'll start. I think we have 3. So I'll start. No, actually, I won't start. I'll let Jacqueline start because I'm gonna pick the stock market. Carter, do you want to do real estate?
I want to do business.
You want to do business, and then Jacqueline, you can do real estate.
All right. Well, we just gave y'all everything you need to know. How about this podcast now?
Yeah, but before you go, I want to give a little bit more context because, again, I feel like our relationship with money shapes this conversation, right? And I was raised in a household saying yo, you get some money, you sit on it, save it, all this and all that, because obviously my family just didn't know how money worked and that, and what inflation was. But I think a lot of people psychologically who've never had money, once they get some money that that they can feel comfortable about, they're so scared to lose it, they just hold on to it, right? And if that's okay, a lot of us got to just break down some of the financial limitations or financial misconceptions that our family taught us, and it's okay to have those notions, but not let them carry you into adulthood and not let them carry you into an improper destination. So if anybody's struggling with wrapping their mind around that money's a tool, listen to the rest of this episode. We'll help break it down.
Yeah, I think that's one of the beautiful things about adulting, right? You start to figure out oh, wow, cheese really is expensive. You're right. $5, asking my parents for $5 every day in high school, that was a lot of money at the end of the day. It all added up, right? That's all part of adulting, is getting to figure things out for yourself. And so I think you hit the nail on the head, Carter, with you got to figure out your own money philosophies.
Right. Facts, big facts. Okay, cool. Well, Jacqueline, let's start us off.
Well, Jacqueline got left with real estate. So everybody...
You own the most properties out of all of us, right?
Do I? I think so.
I got a hotel in Ghana though. So.
He's like a hotel in Ghana.
but yeah. So.
But do REITs count? Do we need to go toe for toe with REITs, guys?
I think for the sake of this podcast, since we're going to talk about the stock market, we'll talk about tangible real estate in your bucket.
Okay. So in my bucket, guys, real estate being another place for you to put your money as opposed to leaving it in a bank account. All right. Because as of right now, what is inflation running at? 8.2, I think is the latest.
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
That's it. Not to cut you off, Jacqueline, but the S&P 500 average return is 10.5%. You telling me inflation is almost there? That is crazy.
This is where active investors win.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Right. So
crazy. It's really crazy.
Yeah, I was saying that. I just thought about it and it just blew my mind. I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, can we still talk about how crazy real estate has been too? In Atlanta, Georgia, in the last, year and a half, 2 years, we're up in some areas, crazy numbers, but overall we're up. I want to say the number's 38% on values, right? So that's obviously not a normal number, right? but it is another place where you can put money. So there's been this recent argument with some people who are talking about real estate not being a viable option. Out of all the numbers that I've seen, out of all the data, out of the fact that from investing in real estate investment trusts, which we'll talk about more, were birthed out of actual real estate investments, right? Being able to make real estate investing an option for all people, for your average investors, that tells me that there is something good behind real estate, okay? And sometimes I like to talk about it in its simplest form, real estate investing. We can have the argument, the debate of, is the home that you live in supposed to be an investment? I don't know. For me, I don't like to put money anywhere that's not an investment. So the home that I currently live in is an investment for me, and I like to make it an investment for most people. And one of the ways that you can do that, that doesn't even have any numbers attached to it, is learning how to build financial stability for yourself. Right. So I talk about this. We've all talked about the different phases of wealth, and financial stability being the first one. And I talked about how for me, like, I already was technically financially stable, right? Limited debt, good income, good savings, all of that, but I still didn't feel financially stable. And the reason why I personally didn't feel financially stable was because I didn't own where I lived. So at any moment I could be kicked out or told that the house is being sold, or they could raise my rent, right? All of those things happened to me, and it made me not feel financially stable. It made me not feel financially secure. And so it wasn't until I owned my first home that I was like, okay, I now feel financially stable, right? So sometimes it's not always a number thing, but it's also a feeling thing. Mm-hmm. But in terms of owning and investing in real estate, what are the numbers? Does somebody know the numbers? I think it's something like 90-something% of all millionaires own real estate.
Yeah, it's probably in the upper 90s.
Like 86%, something like that. Yes, close. Yeah.
And the reason why, it's because it's an amazing investment, obviously, but it's the tax piece that comes with it, right? Like there's no better tax advantage asset than real estate. And Jacqueline, I'll give you opportunity to finish, but then I'll harp on it a little bit more. But like, yeah, you can earn money and you can save on taxes simultaneously. That's why the majority of other people own real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So like for me, I was able to take one of my clients who she owed, like, long story short, she came to me, she was like, yeah, I owe a $3,000 tax bill or something like that. And I was like, why do you owe a tax bill? You purchased a home. Did you make sure that your home mortgage interest was being deducted and your property taxes? And she didn't realize that both of those needed to be deducted. So once she added those in, she then was owed a refund of like $8,000, something like that. So my point being, like, real estate is part of what the tax code was written for.
Facts.
It was written for people who own real estate.
Yeah. Can I give a quick tax hack on real estate for you all listening? Because again, real estate, again, if it went up 38% in Atlanta, the real estate market, that means that your money grew 38% in the last year and a half, which is a better place for your money being in the bank, because the bank is giving you 0.0001%. But two things I want you all to know that own real estate. So if you own a home that you live in and you live in it for 2 years and you sell that home, you don't have to pay any taxes on the gain. So if you bought the home for $200,000 and you moved out 2 years later and you sold it for $350,000, that $150,000 equity gain is not taxable. So that's number one. Number two, a dope thing about real estate, which I was talking about earlier, is that if you own a real estate property where you do not live, it's a rental property, and you get it appraised, and you have $100,000 in equity, you can take a home equity line of credit, which is essentially borrowing the equity out of your property, and you don't pay any taxes on that borrow. So not only is real estate a great way to make more money and put your money to use, it's also a way for you to save an immense amount of money on taxes and have additional borrowing power from an asset that you own.
Super dope, super dope. Not to mention, if you use real estate as an investment, like to Carter's point, then it's a business, right? And then all of the expenses associated with running that business now could also be factored in as a part of your tax strategy as well.
Oh, my boy been listening to me. Check him out.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know the vibe.
Not only that, but let's talk about the melanin money piece of this, right? So I was trying to find this post that I liked yesterday about the post basically went something like this. So one, if y'all check with Bloomberg, 80 something % of all the real estate in America is owned by people who don't look like us. Okay. So not surprising, right? Because we talk about how people who look like us were, like we were intentionally set up to have a net worth that's a 10th of somebody who doesn't look like us, right? We talked about that tons of times on this podcast, but listen, it was done mainly through real estate. So think about all of the families who back in the mid 1900s were able to buy properties for $2,000, $3,000, $10,000, and those properties are now worth $500,000. We weren't allowed to partake in that, right? We weren't allowed to participate in that $500,000 glow up, right? So it's no wonder we're behind 90% in our net worth. So when we talk about not selling out, not selling the property, right? Accumulating more. Why are we saying that? Because more money, more opportunities, more real estate, more wealth for your family, more options and opportunities that they have. So you guys heavily consider real estate as an option. If you are struggling to get into real estate right now, you don't have the money, you cannot figure it out, I will make sure that we link below. We have a class from Kimoy about Airbnb. So start getting into real estate on that side, build up some cash, and then we can start planting that into permanent real estate.
Right. And that's a good point, because real estate, like with all the assets and different things we're going to talk about, there's many different entry points, right? And, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of Dave Ramsey, but what I always tell people is that you can be successful, right? Following anybody, you just have to follow a path, right? At the end of the day, Dave Ramsey, relative to what your measuring stick of success, he's helped a lot of people get out of debt, right? And so again, we think about financial freedom, financial independence a little bit differently, but the concept is just pick a path. So thinking of real estate, you can start with wholesaling. That's a great way to get cash. You don't have to own anything. Then you can transition into, you know, flipping houses, right? Because you got cash now, so you can flip houses. Then you get more stack, more cash. Then you can maybe get into multi. So like, there's plenty of ways to get into the game. You just have to pick your poison and figure out how to do it, right? But if you focus on what you don't know or focus on all the options, right, you're probably going to do nothing. So just pick a path, start there, and you can always expand, right? Absolutely. Cool. So Carter, you want to hop in next and talk about how to put your money into your business?
Absolutely. Because this is something I am being more cognizant of doing now. So if you own a business, right, and you are starting, you get past the point of like your business can pay its own bills and it can pay your own bills, and now you have a profit from your business. You have a few choices. You can leave that money in your business bank account, or you can reinvest it into the business. And for me, and for a lot of other business owners, when I look at my growth of my businesses over the years, numbers wise, my business is my best investment, because if my business is growing at 100% every year, then every dollar I put into my business will give me 100% return, which you can't get that anywhere else. So a business can be a great place to reinvest your money. See, now my personal problem is I'm such a stock focused, and I'm such a diversified focused person that I'm putting my money in other places. But I have to check myself and ask me, like, if my stock portfolio is doing this every year, if my crypto portfolio is doing this every year, if my real estate portfolio is doing this every year, if all of those are less than 100%, then maybe all of my money should be reinvested into my business because it's giving me the best return. So a thing that I think you all should think about is when you have a decent amount of money sitting in your business bank account, like, the more that you invest in your business, the faster it grows. Not to mention all the money that you reinvest into your business is a tax deductible expense, which will lower your taxes for your business. So every dollar you reinvest into your business, that's essentially a dollar deduction for that business. So a quick example is at the end of last year, I ran this play where I got a $25,000 line of credit. I used that. Well, I got a $25,000 Amex. I have an Amex Platinum card. I prepaid my Facebook and other ads for the next quarter. So I spent $25,000 on ads prepaid. So I got a $25,000 tax deduction for doing that. Not to mention, Amex give you 10% cash back on your advertising purchases. So I get $2,500 back in my account, and those ads did 2.5 times ROAS. So I made 250% return on that ad spend. So I spent 25,000 to make almost 60,000, right? And I didn't have to use any of my money, right? So like, I think the point is like, that was me taking a big investment into my business, and I saw the return. But if I let that money sit, I wouldn't have had it. So just think about, if you use money as a tool, it can work for you instead of just losing 8% to inflation.
And I think the issue, Carter, is that people misconstrue how the greats make their money versus how they invest it, right? Because wealth is made through concentration, is preserved through diversification. Right. Yeah. So when you look at Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, the Google CEOs, because they're co-CEOs, more than 80%, I want to say, of their wealth is tied up in the equity of their business. Right. And so what that tells you is that they're practicing what we're talking about, is that your business is your most concentrated asset in the beginning, your most powerful performing asset. Then what happens is, right, you then can take a fraction or a portion of that and to preserve your wealth, because at the end of the day, like any asset, right, there's the same reason why we tell you don't invest in one stock in your portfolio. Why? Because that stock could potentially go belly up, right? Then you take the money that you've made, some of the profits, outside of reinvesting back into your business, and then you diversify. But what people misconstrue the game is they spread themselves too thin and like, all right, well, my business is only making 200,000, but I want to do this business. I want to spread my money over here. I want to spread my money over there. Like, no, like this thing needs to be a rocket ship, right? Mm-hmm. Then you can take some of the profits after reinvesting the majority in the business and then diversify outside of that. But people, I think, misconstrue the two when they hear like 7 streams of income. It's like, no, one crazy, massive waterfall, and then you invest in other things, right? Like there's things that I invest in people will never know about. But however, it's because I had this one thing and then I just took some of it, not much of it, and then invested in these other things. So I agree that your business, when you just really sit back and look at it objectively, by and large, is going to give you the best return ever. Why? Because who's running the business? You. Right. You're the asset, right? What you appreciate appreciates. So appreciate yourself.
Thanks. I love that. Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say about reinvesting into the business. I want to give you the floor because I think the stocks is probably the easiest for people to get into.
Yeah.
So I want to give you the floor to really give some game on that.
I would say, firstly, get a business if you don't have one, okay? Because what we talk about on here is generational wealth, and you cannot pass down your job to your babies, right? So we're talking about building generational wealth, like that is a very key component to building generational wealth, because we talked about, especially in the club, we talk about all the spinoffs of having a business, right? Being able to pay your children $6,000 tax-free. Take that $6,000 that you pay them, put that into a Roth IRA, allow that Roth IRA to grow, right? Be able to use that money from that account for them to go to college, for them to, pay for a car, whatever it is, right? So if you want to be able to build generational wealth, somebody has to take that first leap. Somebody has to be the person that sacrifices, right? Somebody has to be the person that sets up the opportunities. And we got some really great reviews on Apple Podcasts, really about people who have been like taking that first step, right? And becoming that, wealth trendsetter in their family, getting everybody else on board. I don't know. Do y'all want to hear a review today? I find it interesting. We don't have any like 1 or 2 star reviews. Like you guys have been getting some really good game from the podcast, according to our reviews.
Yeah. Let's hear. I'm always down for a little review. Kind of give me a little inner,
I was about to say, I'm always down for an ego boost. So like, let's get it.
Y'all feel like giving away merch today, or
why not?
Feel like giving something away? Okay.
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Well, George, how can they get their gift? And I'm gonna pick one.
Yep. All you have to do is email podcast@melaninmoney.com with your name, full name, your size, and your address, and we will ship a surprise out to you.
Yes, Miss J. Perry, we will ship a surprise out to you. Thank you for your 5-star review. She titled it Loaded with Information for the Average Family Talking About Money is Taboo. I'm in my 30s and finally starting to learn so much on my own that I wish I had known growing up. I'm grateful to have this podcast for all the gems that's dropped in explaining terms and concepts so everyone can understand regardless of where you are on your financial journey. This show will definitely be a part of my weekly lineup. Financial independence loading. Thanks for all the insight you guys delivered. Well, thank you, Ms. Carey, for that wonderful interview. We appreciate you, and we're happy that you are the wealth trendsetter in your family. So we want to make sure that you have other options for you to put your cash, right? So we talked about real estate, we talked about business, and now George is going to lead the way and tell us how we can put our money in the stock market so that it's not just sitting in cash.
Right. Absolutely. Right. So we talked about, hey, at the end of the day, you have to have your money in places that are working for you because inflation is working to keep your money in a chokehold, right? Inflation says, give me that.
Ain't letting up.
Right. Elbow drop, you know what I'm saying? And so you got to be strategic, right? And so the purpose of me talking about stocks is not to get super technical and tell you about charts and how to find the best one. It's to understand the concept of why putting your money in the stock market can be a great hedge against inflation, right? And a better place for your money. Right. So the reason why stocks are great is because of all the things we talked about. It's the lowest barrier to entry. Right. So with real estate, you have to have some level of approval. You got to have a decent credit score. I'm not saying this as a deterrent. We're just giving you full context. Right. You can do all of these. Right. You got to have a certain credit score. You got to have a down payment in most cases, unless you qualify for some type of program. And then ultimately, if you do all of that and do what the lender says, you can get approved and you can get your real estate. Right. With your business, obviously, you have to have business acumen. You got to have something that you can sell, right? You got to get an LLC. You have to probably get some systems, all that good stuff to get up and running. All things that are extremely doable, right? But nothing is more simple than getting an account with TD Ameritrade, Robinhood, or M1 Finance, putting your information in, transferring a few $100 over, and selecting an index fund if that's where you start, and investing your money. Boom. No barrier to entry. Your credit doesn't matter. Your business acumen doesn't matter. Nothing matters. And in fact, the best CEOs in the world start working for you. That's what the stock market essentially is. Why? Because Elon Musk is the CEO of of Tesla. See, I'm forecasting it. He's the CEO of Tesla. I know. I mean, honestly, I don't care, but I think it'll be fun. At least he'll bring the edit button. That's the thing that he said. I'll bring an edit button to Twitter if you make me the CEO. Dude, you paying $43 billion for an edit button? You're different. But he is the CEO of not a stock, but the company. It just so happens that company is what we call publicly traded, which means people in the public, i.e. you and I, get a chance to buy a piece of the company. And the way that's represented is in the form of what we call a share. Right? A share is a unit of ownership. And the beauty of it is, even if you don't have, let's just say, what is Tesla stock price now? It's $700, $800, whatever it is, right? Even if you don't have that, there are platforms that allow you to purchase what we call fractional shares. And that's why we're saying barrier to entry is so low, because the way a fractional share works is, let's say that, you have a whole pizza and you can't afford to buy the whole pizza. With fractional shares, you can buy one slice. And then the pushback I always get when I say that is, well, is it the same? Is it going to do anything? Is it as valuable if you don't buy the whole pizza? Well, if I bring a cheese or pepperoni pizza to your house or whatever, and I give you a slice, does it taste any different from the other slices just because you don't get the whole thing? No, right? So it's still valuable, right? And so it's so easy to get into the stock market. And that's why we absolutely love it. The barrier to entry is so low, and it is the most truly passive thing ever, right? A business isn't passive, right? At least not in the beginning, right? There's nothing passive about a business. There's nothing passive about real estate in the beginning. It can eventually, in theory, become passive, potentially. But the only true passive real estate is REITs, right? Which we said we would touch on. So, and a REIT stands for Real Estate Investment Trust. And all that simply is, to keep it super simple. Again, the goal of this podcast is not to get granular, not this episode. A real estate investment trust allows you to be able to invest in real estate by way of the stock market.
Hey, say it again, though, because some people don't. So I heard a lot of renditions of it. Just say it again.
Real estate investment trust.
The acronym.
REIT.
REIT.
What have you heard? What have you heard?
I heard REITs, I heard REITs, I heard rates. I said, what are y'all talking about?
Read. Very simple. All right. And so that's why we love the stock market, right? There's no excuse. Jacqueline said 2 episodes ago, I believe it was, or a few episodes ago. Everybody, what'd you say, Jacqueline? Everybody should have in their bio?
Hey, I said when we went Twitter post for Twitter post, I said that everybody should have stock investor in their bio.
That's a fact. I should have it.
Why wouldn't you, right?
Like everybody should have the opportunity to have stock investor in their bio.
Right. If nothing else, right, you could be a stock investor because of the reasons we just explained. So we know that we're a tactical podcast. So if you, as of this episode, if you do not have an investment account open, right? If you do not have an investment account open, I want you to select whatever one you choose, whether in this YouTube video, Google best investment accounts to open, right? But I'll tell you a few. Robinhood is super easy, regardless of what people say. I'm not saying I love it or whatever. I'm just saying it's easy. M1 Finance, which I'll explain why I love M1 Finance, is another great one. And TD Ameritrade, which can feel a little bit more advanced if you have no experience with opening a brokerage account. But those are the top 3 that are super easy to open, right? If you do not have a brokerage account opened, right? Open an investment account, whether it's a brokerage account, a Roth IRA, or a traditional IRA before the next episode airs, right? And let us know that you did it, right? Let us know that you did it. Comment on this on YouTube or leave a review saying, thank you guys, because of you, I created my investment account, right? Super simple. I don't care if you transfer $10, $100, $1,000, just get started, okay? Now, let me tell you why. Go ahead, Jack.
I got a gift for whoever does that.
Oh, boom. Jacqueline gonna give y'all a gift. So there you go. Now you're incentivized. You're incentivized to invest in yourself. What other shows doing that? Come on. Y'all want to clues bombs. But yeah, so I'm gonna tell you why I love M1 Finance, right? Now, full disclaimer.
Please.
If you are a new investor, right? If you've never invested in the stock market, this isn't some super sexy strategy for you to just like take advantage of, right? This is for the person who has the fundamentals in place, has probably already has money invested, and has an identifiable opportunity that they've already vetted for what they're going to leverage this strategy for, period. This is not to run up a bag, to go to Fendi, to go to ball out at Louis. It's for none of that, right? This is to supercharge your ability to build wealth. There's a lot of context. We want to be, smart about this so guys don't run off and mess themselves up, okay? So with M1 Finance, right, what they give you the power to do is, let's say if you invest $1,000, well, no, it has to be more than 1,000. Let's say you invest 10,000. I think it's 5 is the threshold. But let's say you invest 10,000. M1 Finance will allow you to borrow against the value of your portfolio up to 40%. Now you might think, oh, well, I've heard of that before. I got a 401k. I can borrow from my 401k. Not quite the same thing, right? Borrowing from your 401k means that if you borrow 40%, that 10,000, right, now goes down by 4,000, right? So you have the 4,000 to do whatever you want, but now your portfolio is showing $6,000 in this example, right? When you borrow against the value of your portfolio, it means that it's collateralized, and the institution says, oh, they got the money. So we'll create a separate transaction that says we'll give you the $4,000, right, for you to do what you want with. You'll borrow it at a rate of 2%, right? But your portfolio still sits at $10,000, which means now you have uninterrupted interest on your investment account. Now, why is this a strategy to supercharge your wealth? Let's break it down very fundamentally. If it's only costing you 2% on the 4,000, and as Carter mentioned earlier in the episode, the S&P 500 is averaging 10% a year, right? What that means is while your portfolio is growing at 10%, you're only paying 2% interest on the 4,000. Then you have that 4,000 that you can leverage to go acquire other assets, right? So now you are basically doing what I like to call double dipping, right? And I don't know about you, but growing up, they said they told you to never double dip. They said don't put that shit back in the salsa. But hey, I'm telling you, what the stock market.
If it's my salsa, if I own all the salsa, it's my salsa.
It's my salsa, right? I get to double dip. This is a very powerful strategy, right? We're going to actually do a class on this inside of the club that might be live when this podcast airs. And we're going to do a detailed class on this, breaking down not only just this high level strategy, but all the other benefits that you can leverage. Matter of fact, I'm just going to read off some of the things that you can do when you leverage the strategy the right way. Again, full disclaimer, you need to have the fundamentals in place because all money does is amplify. If you are in debt or you are already bad with money and now you borrow from your portfolio, you're just going to amplify your bad situation, right? So please don't use this if you're not ready. But let me tell you some of the things that you can leverage by taking advantage of this strategy. Number one, you can learn how to never sell stocks when you need money for other things and eliminate taxable events and get a tax deduction in the process, right? You can learn how to become your own bank and become your own lender, because at the end of the day, you can borrow the money from yourself and loan that money out to other people if you wanted to. Super advanced strategy, but something that you could do, right? You can learn how to use the stock market to fund your business, right? So for example, to Carter's point, if he knew that he was going to take the money to buy ads, he could take that money, borrow it against his portfolio, right? Use that $25,000 for ads, right? And then when he can pay himself back if he so desires, right? Because he was able to leverage his own portfolio, right? You could use the stock market to eliminate high interest debt, right? So if you have, let's say a credit card with 16% APR or something crazy, right? You could leverage your portfolio, pay off the high interest debt, and now you only have 2% APR, right? 14% overnight, just like that, and many other things. When I say this strategy is powerful, like it's powerful. When I did a class on this for the first time, like early this year, I've never gotten so many positive reviews on anything that I've ever taught. I mean, people went nuts. So I was like, okay, people really want to know about this. But I want to keep reiterating that it's so important that you don't get attracted to the shiny ball. The same way Carter teaches about living tax-free and you can write this off and write this off. There's context there. You need to have a profitable business, right? You know what I'm saying? So these strategies are available, but there are baseline expectations and assumptions, right, that we're running with when we give this game out, because we don't want to be the platform that just talks about these sexy, grandiose plays and y'all get out here and y'all mess up, right? Or people telling you how to get 200,000 in funding and then you don't have no strategy on how to pay it back, right? So that's not going to be us. And so that's why we keep giving disclaimers. And if you do have questions, join the Melanin Millionaires Club, right? If you think that this is something that you want to do and you think, man, this might be for me, but you're unsure, join the club. I'm going to probably cover all this on that class. And then of course you can always send messages to Penny, who will answer your questions personally.
Yeah. And I remember you came to LA and, you know, we went out for dinner and drinks or whatever, and you gave me the strategy. Here's the thing. Like, I used to be a financial advisor. I have very, very, good financial acumen. But I ain't know about this. Like, when you told me this, like, my head exploded at the dinner table. And it's just a way to literally supercharge your wealth. And it's a way to get tax deductions in the process because the interest is deductible. It's all these amazing strategies that again, as a melanin community, we just don't know because our parents didn't know, our parents didn't know. So the more that we learn, the more that we earn. And this strategy for me alone this year has already made me, I think, over $10,000 just because I ran it so early. And it's just going to continue to help me grow.
Right. So it sounds like we kind of breaking even on the, on the dinner,
I don't know about that.
But yours is going to keep going. Your strategy, you're going to keep benefiting from.
You have a birthday every year, don't you?
I don't want people to feel bad for not knowing things, because the truth is, like, your parents wouldn't know about this. Why? Because it's new. There's so many new things that are coming out. That's why we have the community. That's why we have the Melanin Millionaires Club, because all of these things are just evolving, right? So like fintech is one of the highest, it's on the pedestal for investments right now. Like, one of the most evolving industries right now in our stock market. And so there's new plays and new opportunities that are continuously presenting themselves. And I don't see that really slowing down anytime soon. So the sooner you can get on the train, the better, right? So what's super, super exciting is not only do we drop these plays in the club, but we also will be dropping these plays, these gems, and we'll be in person to talk about them June 9th and 10th in Miami for Black Equity Con, okay? So use our code below, 20MMC, to grab your ticket for Black Equity Con. We will be live in Miami. We can't wait to see you guys there. George, what do you have to say about Black Equity Con?
I mean, what's black? Like, there is no black equity con without melanin money. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Never
melanin
play
money,
yourself.
black. Wait, back up from the camera a little bit, Carter. I mean, the shirt says everything. Equity, right? And he's black, and it's a black shirt. So all I'm saying is tap in. Right, we're gonna be in the building. Right, we're gonna have some special activations, some special vibes for y'all. You know, it's gonna be. I don't know what else to say. It's gonna be a vibe. It's Miami. It's us. It's this virtual energy that y'all been receiving in person. Why wouldn't you be in Miami?
And we definitely gonna do some live podcast episodes there. So why not have an audience that had to do the live podcast with, right? So y'all need to get in the room. And again, get your tickets early. The tickets go up every week, I think. So again, right. When you longer you wait, everything gets more expensive. When you about to buy a flight and you keep waiting, everything gets more expensive. So get the ticket now, so you don't have to pay a premium later. And who don't want to be in Miami in June? Over 3,000 Black influencers, brand experts, financial experts, right? It's going to be amazing place to learn, network, and grow. And me and George did an episode about being in the room, the power of being in the room. This is a room that you can't afford not to be in.
That's a fact. We are super excited to see you guys there. It's going to be a blast. And yeah, so thank you guys for tuning into this episode. As always, please leave us a 5-star review. I mean, this is a free public platform that we're coming to every week, rain, sleet, or snow. And we always figure it out. If Jacqueline's not available, me and Carter hold it down. If Carter's not available, me and Jacqueline hold it down. If both of them not available, I'm gonna hold it down, and vice versa, right? Okay, we all are here to continue to show up for you, and all we're asking you to do is show up for yourself. Peace.
Peace.